Pollard is worried because Melba is participating in the Syrian military operation. He meets a fortune teller who won an unlucky lottery ticket and predicts Melba will suffer a bloody disaster. Charlie is suspicious and uses the Book of Nine Mysteries to predict that Melba will, near death, in Syria, and only Charlie can save her. Charlie tests the fortune teller's blood type and discovers that two of his children are not biological. Pollard is shocked, making Charlie even more determined to save Melba. Viewers, enjoy watching. Thank you.
Chapter 2630. This kind of fairy does the most work to exorcise evil spirits from the children. Old people are superstitious that their children will be frightened when they see unclean things, and then cry non-stop, so they look for someone. Generally speaking, young people who do not believe in such things, including some old intellectuals, are also dismissive of such things. Pollard originally did the same. He has been abroad for so many years if he said that he has never built superstitious things, but today his right eye kept beating, and his daughter followed the Syrian government forces in military operations. He was really uneasy, so he suddenly moved 1 hexagram of mind. So, he said to Charlie, "Charlie, if you have something to do, please do it first. I'll take a look over there." Charlie saw that the direction he was pointing to was the fortune-telling booth, so he asked, "Uncle, are you going to find someone to do the calculation?" Pollard nodded and sighed, "Hey, I now know why everyone has religious beliefs. It must be at a time when they are so helpless. I really don't know what to do, so I can only pin my hopes on religious beliefs, or feudal superstitions, which are mainly for psychological comfort." Charlie smiled slightly and said, "Anyway, I don't have anything important, so I will go with you." Pollard didn't think much, nodded, and went to the fortune-telling booth with Charlie. At this moment, sitting in front of the fortune-telling booth was an old man with a dark panel, gray hair and beard, and a little lean. The old man looked like he was about 70 or 80 years old, sitting alone in front of the stall, wiping the beard on his chin unhurriedly, quite a bit of aura. Pollard came to him, and before he could speak, the old man asked him, "Does this gentleman want to ask good or bad questions?" Pollard nodded and said, "I want to ask for my daughter to see if she is safe." The old man hummed, pushed a bamboo tube full of bamboo sticks, and said, "Come on, thinking of your daughter in your heart, then shake one to sign it out." Pollard hurriedly did it, thinking of his daughter, while shaking the bamboo tube. Dozens of bamboo sticks in the bucket continued to stick out as he shook, until one of them fell out of the bucket first. Pollard opened his eyes, quickly picked up the bamboo sticks, looked down at the words on it, and said, "I heard that tonight is Shangyuan, and the silver lanterns are shining forever. There is a gust of wind and rain for no reason, and the lanterns turned off. String, what does this mean?" The old man smiled slightly, and said unpredictably, "This is the 30-second lottery signed by Che Gong Ling. If you need to cancel the signing, please spend 500, which is also a good fortune." When Charlie heard this, he concluded that the old man was a liar. Asking for fortune-telling is a Taoist philosophy. As for randomness or blessing, this is the Buddhist saying. It is impossible for a Taoist disciple to say words like joy and blessing. This feeling is like a monk saying that he can go to heaven to see God after donating money. The logic itself is problematic. However, Pollard did not know this. He heard the other party say that it would cost 500. Without any hesitation, he took out his phone and asked, "Can I scan the QR code to pay?" The old man took out a receipt code that had been printed a long time ago, and smiled. "Come on, scan this, WeChat or Alipay can do it." Pollard hurried to scan the QR code to pay. Charlie wanted to stop him, but after another thought, he was like an ant on a hot pot, and he couldn't stop him, so he didn't say much, just watched the changes. Soon, Pollard's payment was completed, and the elder's pocket heard a sound of, "WeChat received 500. He smiled with satisfaction and said, "Your signature is for this sign. I heard that tonight is Shangyuan. The silver lamp and the fire tree shine forever, there is a gust of wind and rain for no reason, and the lamp turned off the orchestra." The meaning is very simple. In the violent storm, the lights of thousands of houses are blown out, and the original festivals of blowing, playing and singing disappeared. Speaking of this, he sighed, and said, "This is really the most unlucky one. The lottery is drawn. No matter what you want to ask, you can summarize it in 4 words. In desperation, Pollard asked, which 4 words? The old man shook his head and sighed, everything is not good. Everything is not good. Pollard heard these 4 words and asked subconsciously, what does this mean? The old man looked disgusted and asked, have you ever fortuned it? Don't you know what these 4 words mean? Nothing is lucky. As he said, he continued very seriously, that is to say, if you get this lottery, what you ask will be unlucky. If you ask about the relationship between husband and wife, it indicates that the man and the woman will be divided. If you ask about career money, then if you ask about your fortune, then you will definitely fall for a long time. If you ask about the safety of your loved ones, it will indicate that the other party will definitely encounter major disasters or even do not escape. What? After hearing these words, Pollard suddenly became anxious, and asked nervously, old man, is there any way you can resolve my daughter's disaster? This. The old man said with emotion, if you draw another sign, I might be able to think of something, but if you draw this one, it means that this matter is too difficult. As he said, he changed his mind and said, but, if I go all out and break the game, there may still be a chance. Pollard has been completely disrupted by the other party at this time. All he cares about is the safety of his daughter. As for the books and knowledge he has learned for so many years, it has completely no effect. He asked nervously and earnestly, old man, please help me. The old man chuckles when he sees him getting the bait, and says, since you are so sincere, then I will give it a try, but breaking this predicament will cost me too much, so you have to rejoice this time. It can be regarded as showing me your sincerity. Pollard doesn't care about 5,000 at all. If spending 5,000 can increase the probability of his daughter's safe return by 1/10,000th, then he is willing to do his best to make up 10,000 5,000 to exchange for his daughter's safety. So, he would continue to scan the QR code to pay almost without thinking. Charlie suddenly said at this moment, old man, it doesn't matter if money is there or not, but before you collect the money, should you tell us about the specific situation first, or what kind of method are you going to use to help solve it, so that we know how to spend money? The old man didn't expect Charlie to come out halfway to disturb his good deeds at this time, so he sneered and said, Junior, you dare to doubt my ability. Charlie waved his hand, I don't. I dare not, I don't doubt you, I just want to make it clear. This is the same as repairing a car. Although we don't know how to repair it, but where it's broken, what parts need to be replaced, what do you want? Tell us first. The old man sneered, huh. I have a way to get rid of this predicament. I can use the 5 emperors' money to divination, find out the specific crisis his daughter is facing, and break the ban with magic charms, and even use it too much. This gentleman is anxious to save her. Each solution consumes different energy and the corresponding price is also different. Charlie smiled and nodded. He remembered that there were also records about divination in the 9 profound heavenly scriptures, which did use ancient coins for divination. But the records did not say that the 5 emperors' money should be used, but that the real ancient coins should be used. And the older the effect, the better. As for the theory of the 5 emperors' money, it only emerged in modern times. They often refer to the coins of the Qin, Han, Tang, Song and Ming dynasties as the 5 emperors' money. Although the author of the 9 profound heavenly scriptures is nowhere to be tested, it is judged based on the age of the porcelain vase at that time. This book was also written by someone in Tang dynasty at the latest, and the earliest version of the 5 emperors' money had to come from Ming Chao, so the ancient coin divination method recorded in it should be much earlier than the 5 emperors' method, and it can even be said it is the ancestor of the 5 emperor money theory. So Charlie deliberately asked him, what can you tell with the 5 emperor money? Or else, you make a divination first. If you do well, I will give you 10,000. The old man said immediately, okay. Then I will let you see and watch. After that, he took out a string of copper coins from his pocket, on which were hanging 5 coins of different dynasties. Afterwards, he untied the red string, held the 5 copper coins in his palm and shook for a moment, and said coldly, boy, look good. After finishing speaking, he threw 5 coins out, stared at the coins on the ground, and said with a shocked expression, this hexagram shows that your daughter will have blood and light in the near future. If you don't intervene in time, I'm afraid it will become a disaster. Pollard was immediately anxious when he heard this. Is that okay? He hurriedly asked, old man, please save my daughter anyway. Charlie was a little puzzled at this time. The 5 emperor coins thrown by the old man were indeed 5 ancient coins of real materials, but the information conveyed by the hexagrams meant looking at flowers in the fog. The reason why this kind of hexagram appears is not that the prospects of the target person are confusing, but because the level of the divination person is really limited. Because of the limited level, he can only see the flower in the fog. To put it plainly, this hexagram tells him 6 words, I can't understand it at all. Obviously, it is a hexagram that can't understand anything, but it happens to say that others are suffering from blood and light. It is obvious that he is deliberately scaring people and trying to use it to hold back. Therefore, Charlie can basically be sure that this old guy is a liar, and at best he has learned a little bit of fur. At his level, if it is placed in the medical field, it is equivalent to just learning how to distinguish between the front and the back of X-rays, and other medical knowledge is not understood. Therefore, his fortune-telling at this level is completely deceitful. Therefore, Charlie pretended to be surprised and said, just by throwing these 5 copper coins on the ground, can you figure out a person's future good or bad? That's natural. The old man said with a proud look, I have learned this skill for 50 years, and I have already been perfect. Charlie curled his lips, I don't believe it, let me try. After speaking, before the old man agreed, he grabbed the 5 copper coins one by one. Then, he thought of Pollard and his daughter in his heart, and then thought of the records of the divination of copper coins in the 9 profound heaven scriptures, and after a moment of meditation, he threw 5 copper coins out. The old man saw that he was serious, and he turned his lips in disdain, and said, you are like a real one, this hexagram seems like you can understand the whole book. Charlie ignored his cynicism and focused all his attention on these 5 copper coins. The amount of information presented to him by these 5 copper coins is enormous. First of all, the overall hexagram is the main evil, and it is extremely cruel, almost mortal. In other words, Melba not only has a great probability of her life in danger, but also has the possibility of a tragic death. Secondly, the azimuth sword of this hexagram is pointing to the west, and there is almost no deviation. In other words, Melba must have had an accident in the west of Oris Hill. Syria is in the Middle East and West Asia, and it happens to be almost on the same latitude as the province where Oris Hill is located. The hexagram is shown in the west of this place, which means that Melba's current latitude does not differ from Charlie's location. In the end, the hexagram image is a mortal situation as a whole, but the only life is left, and the life is here. He immediately took out his mobile phone and checked the latitude and longitude of Syria and Oris Hill on the search engine, and found that Syria's land was between 32 degrees 20 minutes north latitude and 37 degrees north latitude, while Oris Hill happened to be between 31 and 32 degrees 37 minutes north latitude. In other words, Melba's current latitude is within the range of 32 degrees 20 minutes to 37 minutes north latitude. From the perspective of the hexagrams, Melba almost died 9 years ago, and the only life is in Oris Hill. Charlie suddenly realized that Melba's life must lie with him. Except for himself, I am afraid that no one can save her. Moreover, this hexagram seems to be that Melba seems to have been enveloped in danger from now on. Furthermore, her life is on him. If he does not save Melba, she will die. To save, or not to save, Charlie hardly hesitated. Charlie had already decided to save her just now when he discovered that Melba's life was in the middle of his body. Although Charlie had never seen Melba, and had no friendship with her, he still has 2 reasons to save her. The first reason is that he now wants to cut into the huge market of ocean transportation as soon as possible. Melba is the best candidate. If she can come back to help him, her father Pollard will certainly assist her. In that case, this business is basically stable. The second reason is that Pollard was a friend and classmate of his mother before her death, and after his parents had an accident, he took a lot of effort to find him, and he only has one daughter, Melba, so he only looked at this level. However, Charlie was a little worried. She can be saved, but how to save her? After all, she is in Syria, and she doesn't know exactly where she is in Syria. Although the hexagram image can calculate the approximate position, the accuracy of finding a person is still much worse. The possibility of finding out exactly where she is by divination is almost zero. Thinking of this, Charlie flashed a thought. Melba, this time, is following the Syrian government forces to participate in military operations. In other words, there are several people in their group and they are protected by the government army. If Melba's life is in danger, it should indicate that the government army will most likely fail in this operation, and it will affect Melba and the others. In this case, I should pay more attention to the situation in Syria and the news, and see if there is any news about the failure of government forces in the next time. Just when Charlie was full of sadness, the owner of the fortune-telling booth opposite said sarcastically, "Young man, why are you not talking? Didn't you understand what your hexagram represents? Or in your mind, now you're wondering how to fool us for a while?" As he said, he sneered again. "Oh, I'll be honest, if you can't do it, go away, don't delay me from helping others solve problems." Seeing that his expression was very proud, Charlie said indifferently, "I didn't want to waste time with you, but since you are obsessed, I will waste a few minutes talking with you. In my opinion, your face is poor, you are destined to endure hardships for a lifetime, and you are destined to be hard to become a powerful weapon. A person like you, apart from cheating and kidnapping, can't have any real skills. Your old age must be exceptionally miserable. So, I still advise you not to slander and deceive all day long. At such an old age, finding a stable and formal job can save you from the hardship of hunger and cold in the future." The old man didn't expect that it was him who was reprimanding Charlie, but Charlie in turn taunted him. More importantly, this guy is really right. He has indeed suffered a lot in his life. This is mainly because when he was young, he had low-mindedness and low-handedness, and he was not righteous, and he spent several years in prison. Therefore, there is almost no work he can do for a long time. There is no longevity in doing anything, let alone any accumulation, so he has almost nothing to do in his life. Not only he has wasted his whole life, but his children are not very promising either. Now all the children are married, but they all live very poorly. At such an age, he still has to come out to fool people, on the one hand to support himself and his wife and children, on the other hand, he also hopes to give his children a little subsidy. On weekdays, his stomach full of bitterness did not dare to pour out, and he had to pretend to deceive others by pretending to be an outsider, but now he was brutally pierced by a young man, which immediately made him angry. He didn't think that Charlie really had any abilities to look at pictures. He felt that Charlie deliberately wanted to ruin his business, and he wanted to take the opportunity to mock him. So he immediately snorted and said disdainfully, "Huh. You said that the old man has toiled all his life. What a joke. To tell you the truth, the old man has achieved financial freedom since he was young, and I have already groups of children and grandchildren, so I can fully enjoy the blessings of the family and the happiness of family at home. The reason why I still come out for fortune-telling at such an old age is to save all beings." After all, he looked at Pollard, but said with a bit of sullenness, "You take this boastful young man and go. I wanted to help you with your affairs, but it seems that you and I really have no chance. So please do it yourself." "Right." Pollard was a little anxious for a while, lowered his voice and said to Charlie, "Charlie, we would rather believe this kind of thing, but not trust it, and to be honest, 5,000 is not a big deal, even if it is a purchase. Melba is worth more than that for me." Charlie waved his hand, looked at the old man, and said with a smile, "I see that your cheeks are thin and the belly is flat. You don't look like a blessed person, and your forehead shape is dissatisfied. This is a typical young man. Even in the face of childlessness, you say that your children are in groups and there are many descendants. How is this possible?" The old man snorted, "Boy, you are inferior to humans. Have you begun to engage in personal attacks? I have 3 sons and 3 daughters. There are 13 grandchildren and granddaughters. You said that I have a little face. Childless. This is really unreasonable." Charlie smiled slightly. "Don't worry, I will give you a fortune." After that, he grabbed the 5 coins and threw them out again. Afterwards, Charlie looked at the position, positive and negative of these copper coins, and said lightly, "The hexagram shows that you are destined to commit a lone star, and you are doomed to have no future." After speaking, Charlie looked at him and asked seriously, "Do your sons and daughters look like you?" The old man was stunned. Charlie's words poke a knot in his heart that has been haunting his heart for so many years. That is, none of his 6 children look like him. Charlie continued, This hexagram also says that you can see through the clouds and mist in the near future, and I believe it should be just about this. The old man said angrily, "You don't talk nonsense here. You are so young, I advise you to accumulate your morals." Charlie waved his hand. "I'm not making fun of you, I'm telling the truth." After that, Charlie asked him, "Do you know your blood type?" "Me." The old man blurted out, "I am AB type." Charlie asked again, "Where is your wife?" The old man said, "My wife is an O type." "What's wrong? What do you want to say?" Charlie asked again, "Then do you know the blood type of one of your 6 children?" The old man continued, "My eldest son is also AB, just follow me, what's wrong?" This time, before Charlie spoke, Pollard on the side said with a shocked expression, "Your wife has blood type O, you have blood type AB, and your eldest son is also blood type AB. "Yes." The old man snorted coldly, "The blood type is the same as mine, it must be my own blood." Pollard said embarrassingly, "This. From the genetic law of scientific blood type, people with blood type AB and O will only give birth to type A blood, or type B blood, it is impossible to give birth to type O blood, or AB blood." Chapter 2635. The old fortune-telling man didn't expect that even Pollard, a gentle middle-aged man, would come to sing against him, and immediately said with a little irritation and anger, "You are not talking about science with me, and what science? It's science. You have to have basic common sense, right? This dragon gives birth to dragons and phoenixes, and mice give birth to holes. I have blood type AB and give birth to a son with type AB blood. It is justified. Is there a problem?" Pollard said helplessly, "Old sir, you really have to believe in science. Although I am not studying medicine and biology, I am also a university professor anyway. This basic common sense is still there." When the old man heard that Pollard said that he was a university professor, he suddenly panicked. He didn't think Pollard looked like a liar, so he felt that something was King wrong. So, he subconsciously asked, "Since you are a professor, can you explain to me why my son can't be of type AB blood?" Pollard said seriously, "If you really talk about the principle of this, it's really not clear in a few words, but you can check it online." The old man hurriedly took out a different brand mobile phone with a huge screen, and spent a long time writing and drawing seriously, then he saw his expression suddenly dull. He did find the relevant results. On the internet, all the claims are the same as Pollard's claims. Parents with blood type AB and O can only give birth to type A blood, or children with type B blood, never give birth to type O and AB blood. This also means that his eldest son is by no means his own. Thinking of this, he almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. Immediately, he picked up the phone in a panic, called the second son, and asked directly, "Second, do you know what blood type you are?" His second son said in surprise, "I remember it as O type, as if you are talking about my mother." O type. The old man immediately felt like being struck by lightning, and blurted out, "Are you sure? Did you remember it wrong?" "That's right." The second son said, "Why don't you steal the cable last time and let people be caught? The blood type test performed by the prison before serving your sentence must be registered in the file." The old man's eyes suddenly went dark. This is King tragedy. The eldest is not his, nor is the second. At the same time as he collapsed, he thought of his youngest son and couldn't help but make another call. As soon as the other party connected, he asked, "My child, do you know what blood type you are?" The youngest son asked in surprise, "Dad, that's all about your phone call. I'm in the taxi. Recently, I'm not allowed to drive and make phone calls. The cameras are everywhere." The old man blurted out, "You tell me quickly." The younger son asked incomprehensibly, "Dad, why are you calling to ask this?" The old man scolded, "Why are you speaking King nonsense? Can you just answer what I ask you?" The youngest son hurriedly said, "Okay, I have blood type AB, isn't it the same as you? I inherited it from you." The old man was anxious and almost fell to the ground. The youngest son said at this time, "Dad, the teacher from Ascenda's school called and said that this bear kid couldn't keep up with his grades in all subjects. He asked me to report to him for training courses. I just calculated it. The registration fee alone costs more than 3,000. Can you give it to me?" The old man gritted his teeth and cursed, "I'll give his grandma a leg." After finishing speaking, he smashed the phone to the ground and smashed it to pieces, and then burst into tears.